So, there's this really bizarre mystery unfolding right now in the Middle East, and it points to a new kind of invisible weapon, one that could actually affect every single one of us. Think about it. I mean, what if your GPS really lied to you? I'm not talking about a simple wrong turn. I'm talking about it placing you hundreds of kilometers away from where you're actually standing. What would that even look like in the real world? Well, if you're in Dubai, it looks like this. You've got these high-tech Teslas just sitting in city parking lots, right? But their navigation systems suddenly say they're deep in the middle of the Arabian desert. The owners are completely baffled, and believe me, this is just the start of it. Okay, get this. At the same time, you've got these massive 300-meter-long cargo ships out in the Arabian Gulf. I mean, these are vessels that have no business being anywhere but at sea. And yet, tracking systems start showing them as being landlocked, sometimes even arranged in these bizarre, impossible circles right in the desert. How does that even happen? And it's not just on the ground or at sea. It's in the air, too. You're looking at air traffic control, and commercial airliners are just glitching out. One second, a plane is flying normally over Sharjah, and the next, bam, it jumps across the border into Oman. The flight paths are these crazy zigzag patterns that are just physically impossible for any plane to fly. So at first, everyone's thinking these have to be weird software glitches. I mean, what else could it be? But when you start to connect the dots, the cars, the ships, the planes, a totally different picture starts to form. You realize this isn't a bug. This is deliberate. What we're seeing are the side effects of a brand new kind of invisible weapon. It's being deployed in the shadow war between Iran and Israel. And this weapon, it doesn't use explosives. No, it messes with the very signals we all rely on every single day. We're talking about GPS warfare. Okay, so to really get what's happening here, we need to break down two really important concepts: GPS jamming and GPS spoofing. They might sound kind of similar, but trust me, in practice, they are worlds apart. See, the key difference is deception. Jamming is basically just brute force. It's like shouting static so loud that you can't hear anything else. Your phone knows something's wrong and just says, hey, no signal. But spoofing is way more sinister. It's like whispering a very convincing lie. It sends a fake signal that looks totally real to your device, so your phone just accepts it as truth, and that's how it ends up with a completely false location without ever knowing it's been tricked. So that begs the question, right? How can someone so easily fool a multi-billion-dollar global satellite system? Well, to understand the hack, we've got to first understand how GPS works in the first place. And the basic idea is actually surprisingly simple. Okay, so it all comes down to timing. You've got these satellites way up in orbit, and they're constantly beaming down signals. Each signal basically says, here's the super precise time right now. Your phone picks up signals from a few of these satellites and calculates how long each signal took to reach it. That tells your phone how far away it is from each one. So the signal from one satellite puts you somewhere on a giant sphere. A second one narrows that down to a circle. A third gets you down to just two possible points, and boom, that fourth satellite nails your exact location. And right there, that's the core vulnerability of the entire system. Think about it. Those satellite signals have traveled over 20,000 kilometers to get to you. By the time they reach your phone, they're incredibly faint. It's like a whisper from space. A spoofer, on the other hand, is right here on the ground, maybe just down the street, and it can shout. It just broadcasts a much, much stronger signal that completely drowns out the real ones. And your phone? It's just designed to listen to the loudest voice in the room. And here's the really clever and kind of terrifying part. The spoofer sends out its fake signal with a tiny, tiny error in the timestamp. We're talking about a difference of maybe 1 millisecond. But since your location is being calculated based on the speed of light, that tiny error, just 1,000th of a second, is enough to throw your calculated position off by hundreds of kilometers. And that, right there, is how a giant cargo ship suddenly appears in the middle of a desert. So, okay, this spoofing stuff is being used to mess with drones and missiles in the Middle East. But the problem is, its effects are spilling over into our civilian lives. This isn't just some far-off military problem anymore. This affects the fundamental systems that our entire modern world runs on. I mean, the consequences for all of us are huge. For airlines, a pilot could unknowingly drift into a restricted no-fly zone without any warning system going off. For global trade, shipping lanes become chaotic and unreliable. And get this, even our financial markets are at risk. High-frequency trading depends on GPS for nanosecond perfect timestamps. A spoofed signal could literally corrupt transactions and trigger a market crash. And on a more personal level, it's the reason your ride-sharing app or your food delivery might just suddenly stop working correctly. You know, it's interesting because this whole thing brings the story of GPS full circle. This technology was originally created by the military as a weapon of war. Then it evolved into this incredible global utility that we all use every day. And now it's being turned back into a weapon, but in a completely new and unexpected way. Let's look at the evolution here. Back in 1991, during the Gulf War, the US military basically had a monopoly on GPS. They used it to navigate the featureless desert and just completely dominate the battlefield. But then, fast forward to 2011, and the tables started to turn. Iran used this exact spoofing technique to capture a top-secret American stealth drone. They literally tricked it into thinking it was landing back at its home base in Afghanistan when it was actually landing on an Iranian airstrip. And now, today, we're seeing this technology deployed as a standard part of strategic warfare. Yeah, that 2011 drone capture, that was a massive wake-up call for the entire world. It was the moment everyone realized that GPS spoofing wasn't just some theoretical idea anymore. It was a real, practical, and terrifyingly effective way to hijack some of the most advanced technology on the planet. The future of warfare had arrived, and it was all about manipulating data. And all of this brings us to a pretty unsettling final thought. We have built our entire modern world on a simple assumption that we can always trust our location. But as these invisible battles get more and more intense, that trust is starting to crumble. You see, when wars are fought not with bombs, but with invisible radio waves, the line between the battlefield and everyday civilian life just disappears. So in a world like that, you have to ask yourself, who is truly safe?